Hey guys, well I have a little bit of a story and a project today, and the title's probably giving it away, but it just happened the other day. It was the second time my wife has accidentally left the headlights on the Ford Expedition. Now we have a unique problem when it comes with the Ford Expedition and probably a lot of newer cars, which is why I'm making this video. There's only one keyhole on the Ford Expedition. It's the driver door. So if you're totally dead and your key fob won't even unlock the car, the side pad, there's not enough electrics to open the electric locks. You can't pop the hood to get to the battery. And the key lock, somebody tried breaking in way before we even owned the vehicle. We've just never used the key. So to have a backup for the key when all the power fails doesn't work on our vehicle. And I don't know if anyone else has ever run into the same problem. So it's kind of a unique problem. So how do you jump start a car that you can't get to a battery? You can't pop the hood, you can't get in the car. And I will just let you think about it for a second and come back and tell me what you would do. Alright, so when it first happened, it was about 8 months ago. And my solution, which I didn't realize at the time, I just brought some jumper cables in a jumper box, and I brought a jack and a Harbor Freight moving blanket to lay on. And I was actually in a parking lot at the hospital. My wife is a nurse, and I had to jack the front of the Expedition up. There wasn't enough clearance to get my 6'4" frame, 265, whatever I am now, underneath the front end of the independent suspension and get into what I figured would be the closest thing to get to, which is the starter. The starter usually has a main battery cable that comes right off the battery and or the alternator. But either way, they're generally connected pretty heavily with a large gauge cable, as it takes a lot of amps to start your vehicle. The starters are usually at the bottom of the motor somewhere. So my idea was, if I can jack the front of the Expedition up just enough to get to where the starter is, I could put a jump start cable on it. And you know how much I love the Noco GB150. I love that thing to death. It started every vehicle I've ever needed to. But the problem was the alligator clips were very large. So what I ended up using was, many of the reviews I've done in the past are these little Chinese jump starters, these little lithium battery packs. And I've always liked them for a number of reasons, because they always have 12 volts coming out of them. There's no weird safety features. So also the alligator clips are very tiny and anemic, which I usually don't like, but when you're trying to wiggle them up into the engine bay and get just enough ground and just enough power onto that starter cable, and then you find a place to plug in the battery pack, and hopefully that gives the battery enough charge to open up the doors with the key fob or the keypad. And it worked. And then you pop the hood, and then, which I never tried, was I don't know if the little Chinese pack would have enough power to charge and jumpstart the Expedition. So what I did, because I just brought it with me, was I used the Noco GB150. Alright, once the booster's on, we're up to 11.5. Alright, Noco charger, charged right up. And I'm probably going to lose all my stations. Yep. Probably going to lose all your stuff. I'm going to leave everything off for right now. Just let the vehicle, give it a chance to come back. Alright, well the good news is hopefully the alternator's still kicking in. We're at 14.4, 14.7. It's pretty high, but it's going to take quite a bit, especially being a very cold battery. It's like 15 degrees out right now. And see if we can't get some life back into this. Alright, not only does the Noco tell me that I'm at 14 volts, but on the Expedition here I can cycle through kind of a makeshift, let's see, charging system okay. So I know everything's still being charged alright, so I'm not too worried about that. But this is what we're going to do. Today's project is we're going to build a small little harness. I'm going to run straight from the battery out to the grill an E5 connector, which I'll show some close-ups. That's what they use in these small little Chinese jump packs. And that way she can keep the jump pack in her office. If the lights are dead, we can go and she can plug in the power pack through the grill, get into the car, pop the hood, and if for whatever reason the little Chinese pack doesn't have enough oomph to start it, at least she can get a jump start from somebody else, or I will leave the Noco 150 in the back of the Expedition for a while. So it just happened again this week. We talked about different ideas 8 months ago when this happened. So stay tuned. This is what I came up with. There are other ideas as far as trying to get a cable release system. If you guys know the hoods, you generally pop it from the outside and then you still have to release it from the grill side. So I could try to work some sort of cable release, the same thing from the inside just to pop the hood. But I think this is going to be a better alternative instead of trying to jury rig something to pull that, because that is kind of a safety feature. Something happens and the hood's going to fly open if the secondary safety doesn't, the latch doesn't catch. So I think this is a good option. Let me know what you guys think. We're going to get started on building that harness. I don't know if you can see that. We got those recessed down inside there. And then I'm just pushing some of this shrink tubing so you don't have any exposed wires. Maybe a little easier to tell on the red one. I've got a little more wire than I need on there. Alright, not the prettiest, but that'll work. That'll work for my application anyway. First time I've had a chance to use these E-Fi connectors or any of the XT60s. I plan on using them quite a bit more throughout the bus, but for the Expedition project, I think that'll work. If you guys have bought anything in the last few years that has a wiring harness, you'll know that they don't really use that split loom like we used to kind of armor the cables. There's this new stretchy sort of snaky stuff that they put over the outside. And so far I've had really good success with this. This is going to be a limited use item, but it is going to be going through several different spots there in the firewall and through the engine bay, and so I want it to be armored. So this is still kind of a test. I use this on some of my winch cables that I was pushing through just to make sure it had a little extra protection so that it doesn't wear through and short out. And again, it's just kind of like a finger trap. You kind of have to expand it, shrink it down, expand it, kind of push it down, expand it, push it down, and it just, one, it's going to keep these cables together without having to use an obnoxious amount of electrical tape, and it should add a little bit more protection to it. Well, I thought I was recording the whole time. I was trying to find a way, instead of using electrical tape, to hook that armor on. I had some 1-inch 3-to-1 reducing bigger heat shrink for another project, and I also don't have the diffuser tip for my torch, so it did shrink down to the size I needed. A lot of these will have a glue underneath, but if you can see up close, that armor did not fare well with a little bit of heat. So definitely don't use this around exhaust parts and things like that. So that'll hold it on there for now, but I think the other side we'll just use a little bit of electrical tape, and I still have to go source some number 10 ring connectors, connect this to the battery. Alright guys, well, we've got the cable all sourced. It wasn't terribly difficult. This is the first time I've done it. Just practice. I didn't have a lot of tools and things to get this done. You can do it pretty easily. This pack comes with a little bit of everything. It's got the XT60s, males and females, XT90s for running higher amperage, the EC5s, and the EC3s, and that's what these little blue guys are. I'll put all of these links down below if you guys are curious, if you want to try something like that. I had something similar on the KLR years ago that I actually bought. But now that I'm a little more handy, this is pretty easy to make. I did use a 10 gauge cable. This is, about 4 feet worth of cable, just to make sure I can get to the battery, out to the grill, and then use the armor. So all this stuff will be down below if you guys think it's a cool idea. I don't know. We'll see if it works. Well, morning guys. Kind of cutting into this video a little bit. I rushed some stuff, and while I was trying to make this video for you guys, I was not paying attention. If you go look at the original little insert shots, the polarity is wrong on these, and it shorted out the jump box, I think is what happened. The other thing is that I tried to go direct to the battery, and although I'm not entirely sure what they put in the little jump pack part here, I'm going to include it in this sort of version 2, if you will. So what I did was I took the alligator clips and destroyed them, and honestly it wasn't that hard. This stuff is cheap Chinese, quick connects. You can get some pretty decent lithium-ion jump packs out there. I know I always tout the Noco series, but there's some great little jump packs out there that are just sort of cheap knockoffs. In fact, I found one. There's one called the Hulk that's on Amazon, and then I chose this one because it was the cheapest one I could find, honestly, and I think it'll be enough for this situation. But they always have some sort of a diode or a fuse pack, something built into the jumper pieces. So I just included that in sort of my design. So the pigtail that's going to come out of the truck is going to get connected with EC5 connectors, and then this piece with the included, whatever they put in there, is going to be included onto the jump pack there. This is the Rockbox, or Rockbach. It is only USB chargeable, but standard EC5, and so we're going to check the polarity to make sure everything came out right the other side, and then get this installed in the truck, and then we're going to see if this even works down the road. Alright, got this thing on, directly connected. We are at 16 volts. When I plug the little pigtail in, it's at 0.8 volts, so my guess is it has to detect a charge going through. Either way, the way I've designed it, if this thing isn't going to get it going, I can directly connect it to the power pack without this. So we will see. I'll connect this real quick and show you what I was talking about. Alright, I have it plugged in there, and you can see it's 0.8 volts. I am getting red and green flashes, which says that I'm ready to start the truck or car. According to the instructions labeled back here, there's a reset button, but that means that I'm good to go. So I'm not sure if it has to detect something in order to throw the voltage down the line. It's not really sure why that's working that way, but everything is wired correctly, and we're going to get on the Expedition. And last but not least, I'm taking an extra connector, and I just sort of filled the bottom with some epoxy. I'm letting it cure to this plastic, and then I'm just going to trim that off to create a seal. So while the pigtail is on the Expedition, I have a cover so this doesn't get filled with dirt and sand and mud and corrosion, so that when you actually need this in the middle of winter, she should work. So this is just going to be basically a cap. Alright guys, it's all zip tied and put in there. I'm waiting for the epoxy to dry for that little protection plug. Put everything in a small sort of mesh pouch, just so it can sit in her office like this. Obviously most of the time you'd want this inside of the vehicle, but because as the problem we said at the beginning of the video, you can't even get into the vehicle, this is going to live in her office. I've made it so the E5 connections are foolproof. You can't hook it up wrong. I will have her use this little jumper piece first. If for some reason you're not getting voltage, things aren't unlocking, the car's not starting, then she can go right to the 16 volts coming out of this pack. So I don't know, time will tell. You know, it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it's usually nasty in winter out like it was this time, and I might not already be around. So this is kind of a cool solution. She can keep that in her office. We'll put jump cables in the back so that even if she can get in the vehicle and unlocked and pop the hood, she could potentially get a jump start from somebody, even if this box doesn't have the juice to do it. Down the road I'll probably get another NOCO box like I keep in the Adventure Bus, maybe a GP70, and put that in the Expedition as part of our winter kit, especially if she's commuting for a while longer. So hope you guys found this interesting. It was kind of a creative solution to an interesting problem. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching and commenting, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks for all the love and support. You guys are amazing. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow the adventure on social media, and we'll see you on the road.